Welcome to The Explainer. I am so glad you're here with us today because, wow, we are looking at a truly massive thematic collision. Picture this. It's May 11th, 2026, and the tech world is literally split right down the middle. On the one hand, you've got these super abstract, high-stakes boardroom battles over the theoretical safety of AI playing out in a federal courthouse. And then, on that exact same day, crashing right into that theoretical debate, we have a terrifying, real-world, AI-generated cyber attack happening out in the wild. We're going to unpack both of these monumental events using the source material from today's Tech Digest. So, let's just dive right into it.
I want to start by framing the absolute extreme stakes of what we're actually talking about today. This is a direct quote from John Holtquist, the chief analyst at Google's threat intelligence arm. He says, "It's here. The era of AI-driven vulnerability and exploitation is already here." Look, just two words. It's here. That is doing a lot of heavy lifting, right? When the chief threat analyst at Google drops a statement like this, totally free of any hyperbole, we know the ground is fundamentally shifted beneath our feet. Keep this chilling reality in the back of your mind, because before we explore exactly what Google found out in the wild, we really need to rewind. We need to look at the governance battles that supposedly prepared us for this exact moment.
Okay, moving on to Section 1, the Billionaire Parade, Week 3 of Musk versus Altman.
Imagine the courtroom. It's packed to the brim, the air is completely sterile, and the stakes, well, they're astronomical. First up on the stand is Microsoft CEO Satya Nadella. And the sheer scale of the money involved in his testimony is just staggering. $9.5 billion. Let that sink in. According to a video deposition from a Microsoft corporate development exec, that is the exact amount of revenue Microsoft recognized through its partnership with OpenAI as of March 2025. That staggering figure right there is the entire foundation of Nadella's testimony. See, on the stand, his core defense against Elon Musk's claims was basically that Microsoft considered its early investments in OpenAI a calculated risk. He argued that despite this massive financial entanglement, OpenAI always maintained its independence. According to Nadella, they had all the rights and resources they always had. But as we're about to see, the documentary evidence paints a slightly more complicated picture.
This right here perfectly illustrates the dramatic tension in that courtroom. On one side, you have Nadella's sworn testimony claiming complete arm's-length independence. But then, on the other side, Musk's lawyers pull out leaked text messages between Nadella and Microsoft technology chief Kevin Scott. And in these texts, they are actively discussing potential candidates to join OpenAI's board. I mean, they're floating heavy-hitter names like former Xerox CEO Ursula Burns, former LinkedIn CEO Jeff Weiner, even former Alphabet director Diane Greene. So the absolute crucial question becomes, how independent is a company really when its largest partner is actively trying to handpick its board members behind the scenes?
And that exact question of governance leads us straight into Section 2, the Sutskever dossier and a co-founder's confession.
So right after Nadella, the most anticipated witness of the entire trial takes the stand, OpenAI co-founder Ilya Sutskever. And let me tell you, he came with receipts, 52 pages of them to be exact. Let's really anchor ourselves to this number for a second. Sutskever testified under oath that he spent about a year gathering evidence for the OpenAI board regarding CEO Sam Altman. The result of all that? A 52-page document detailing what Sutskever himself described as a consistent pattern of lying. He confirmed that Altman's conduct involved undermining people and pitting executives against one another. He even admitted that he and Chief Technology Officer Mira Murati had been discussing removing Altman for a long time before they actually pulled the trigger. This wasn't some sudden overnight coup. No, this was a year-long, heavily documented investigation by a co-founder who loved the company enough to take action.
Which brings us to Sutskever's absolute show-stopping quote of the day. He said, "The mission of OpenAI is larger than the structure." It's a really profound statement, isn't it? It directly counters Elon Musk's arguments about corporate structuring. But honestly, we cannot ignore the deeply human contradiction going on here. Think about it. Sutskever painstakingly compiled 52 pages of evidence against Altman, yet he also disclosed that his personal stake in OpenAI's for-profit arm is worth roughly $7 billion. And ultimately, he voted to reinstate the very same men he had just spent a year investigating. As our source material points out so well, the board didn't fail because it lacked evidence. It failed because the evidence just wasn't enough to hold the line against the immense pressure.
All right, let's look at Section 3, the alternate timeline, the secret Anthropic meeting.
Now, buried deep inside Sutskever's testimony was this totally mind-bending disclosure about the chaotic boardroom crisis back in November 2023. I mean, this timeline reads exactly like a corporate political thriller. Let's walk through it real quick. November 17th, Altman is fired.
Just 2 days later, on November 19th, the remaining OpenAI board secretly meets with their direct rival, Anthropic. And the proposal on the table? For the creator of the Claude chatbot to merge with OpenAI and actually take over its leadership. I mean, keep in mind, Anthropic was founded by former OpenAI researchers who left precisely because they had concerns about Altman's direction. Wild, right? Then, the very next day, 700 OpenAI employees threatened to walk out. By November 22nd, Altman is back in as CEO. All of this history-altering, high-stakes chaos was compressed into a window of just 5 days.
Just take a second to really consider this total sliding doors moment in Silicon Valley history. What if this merger had actually happened? Look at where we are today. OpenAI is an $852 billion juggernaut gearing up for an IPO, while Anthropic exists as this independent, safety-focused lab. If they had merged, the operations of OpenAI would have essentially been handed over to the exact same people who left over safety concerns in the first place. The competitive landscape of AI as we know it today would be fundamentally, completely unrecognizable. It's just an incredible piece of alternate history that is now permanently etched into the sworn public record.
Okay, sharp pivot here, Section 4, AI's zero-day reality and the threat in the wild.
Because while the courtroom is busy debating the theoretical safety of AI, the real world is already experiencing the consequences of its power. Let's break down the mechanics of the first confirmed AI-generated zero-day exploit. Step 1. A prominent cybercrime group. And notice, this isn't some sophisticated nation-state. This is a criminal network. They use an AI model to discover a vulnerability in an open-source web administration tool. Step 2. The AI is then used to literally write a Python script specifically designed to weaponize that vulnerability and bypass two-factor authentication. Step 3. Thankfully, Google's threat intelligence group managed to identify and disrupt the attack before it became a mass exploitation event. But the takeaway is absolutely clear. AI-generated zero days, they're no longer theoretical. They're already here.
And the scary part is, this isn't just an isolated incident. The threat landscape is expanding so incredibly fast. Right now, China-linked actors are already deploying agentic AI tools, meaning AI that can autonomously plan and execute tasks against tech and cybersecurity firms over in Asia. North Korea's notorious APT-45 group, they're using thousands of repetitive prompts to recursively analyze vulnerabilities. And perhaps the most concerning part of all this is that criminals are acting completely independently of corporate defense initiatives, like Project Glasswing. You know, that's the massive coalition of tech giants trying to secure critical software. The guardrails being built by big tech are already being bypassed by bad actors out in the wild. Which brings us to our final point, and the ultimate question we really have to ask ourselves today. The argument for why AI safety matters just walked into a federal courthouse in Oakland, and almost simultaneously, it walked right into a criminal network's playbook. We have spent years debating the 52-page dossiers and the whole billionaire boardroom drama, but as Google just proved, the theoretical era is officially over. The threats are in the wild, the battle for AI safety is absolutely happening in the courtroom, sure, but are we actually ready for what is already happening on our servers? I really want you to think about that as you process today's explainer. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.